A very good morning to all of you. Welcome back to the channel and let's start with today's analysis video for 19th of May 2023. So we see that Meghal replaces Kiran Rijiju as the law minister. So no more now Kiran Rijiju is the law minister. So in a surprise move, the Modi government on Thursday removed Kiran Rijiju as the law minister and appointed Arjun Ram Meghwal as his replacement. So Union Law Minister is now Arjun Ram Meghwal. So that's the update. सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेज कि जो लॉ तमिलनाडु ने अमेंड किया था रिगार्डिंग द जल्लीकट्टू इट इज वैलिड. सो कोर्ट टर्म्स इट इज अ टाइप ऑफ bovine sport which is existing in Tamil Nadu for at least a century, and it also found similar laws passed by Karnataka and Maharashtra allowing bullock cart races and buffalo racing to be valid. So judgment, it was not merely restricted to the state of Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu में जो law है, there is a state law regarding Jallikattu. So उसमें जो amendments किए गए by the state, they are held to be valid by the Supreme Court. And apart from this, Supreme Court, it also referred to other type of sports which are like practiced in the state of Karnataka and Maharashtra, like bullock cart races की जाती है, buffalo racing की जाती है. So even they are valid. So it's basically a huge celebration in the state of Tamil Nadu as this has been upheld by the Supreme Court. So Constitution Bench, it upheld the validity of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Tamil Nadu Amendment Act of 2017 and Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Conduct of Jallikattu Rules 2017. So Amendment Act, it has received the presidential assent as well, and we do not think there is any flaw in the state action. So this is what the judgment said. So court also found that jo similar laws which are passed by other states, they are also valid. So our decision on the Tamil Nadu Amendment Act also guides Maharashtra, Karnataka Amendment Acts, and we find that all three legislations, they are valid. So the Constitution Bench, it held that Jallikattu law substantially minimizes the pain and the suffering of the animals which are participating in the event. So जो law है Tamil Nadu state का, Supreme Court said, the Constitution Bench said कि with that law जो cruelty and जो pain and suffering to the animal है, that is substantially minimized with that law. So Jallikattu, it's a type of bovine sport, and we are satisfied that it has been present in Tamil Nadu for at least a century. So definitely it is related to the roots and culture of Tamil Nadu. So it was banned in 2014. So Justice Bose said that Jallikattu, it was banned in 2014 by the top court in the A. Nagaraja case and called it cruel. So 2014 में Jallikattu को ban कर दिया गया था. उसके बाद the state government came out with the law, and जो भी amendments किए गए, now they have been upheld by the court as well. So जब हम 2014 वाली जजमेंट की बात करते हैं तो उसमें बोला गया कि दिस स्पोर्ट इज क्रूअल एंड इट नीड्स टू बी बैंड, बट लाइक दैट वाज बिफोर द स्टेट इट पास्ड द अमेंडमेंट एक्ट इन 2017. सो ये जो जजमेंट थी, इट वाज बिफोर द अमेंडिंग ऑफ दिस एक्ट. सो इसको अमेंड किया गया था 2017 में, जहाँ पे बहुत सारे measures introduce किए गए to prevent any kind of abuse to the participating bulls or loss of human life. So Amendment Act overcomes the defects which were pointed out in this A. Nagaraj judgment of 2014. So that's why this time it has been upheld by the Supreme Court. So Tamil Nadu Amendment Act, it is not a mere piece of colorable legislation. So you need to be clear, what do we mean by colorable legislation? So it minimizes the cruelty to animals and allows the continuation of the traditional sport. On the editorial page, let's see what the important articles today. So it is about a long drawn test for India's diplomatic skills. So Prime Minister Modi, he embarks on a week-long journey to Japan, Papua New Guinea, and Australia from 19th of May, and number of substantive global issues. They are also on the annual in his discussions with the leaders of G7 outreach in Hiroshima, Japan. So he'll be also holding bilateral talks regarding the bilateral issues, and basically we are seeing they are taking a backseat to India's position in the multilateral sphere. So instead of focusing more upon bilateral talks and engaging more bilaterally, we are focusing on multilateral sphere, and these mandate a very careful balance between the two ends of an increasingly polarized world, and that is being blown apart after the Russian war in Ukraine. So this is also a world that looks uneasily at facing the geopolitical challenge from China, worries over the trade access, supply chain reliability, and food and energy security. So these are some of the global issues. If someone asks you, so you can name them. And talking about the Quad Summit, so it has been delayed basically because of the US president canceling the visit because of the debt ceiling. That is the issue which is going on in US. So for the time being, it has been postponed. So the world of SEOs, composition of SEO, it includes those being inducted as observers, such as Myanmar, gives the impression of it being a largely anti-Western grouping, with practically every country sanctioned by the West as a part of it. So SEO की अगर हम बात करें member countries, तो ये ज़्यादा देखा गया है, and it's a like mere observation कि all those countries at some point of time they have they have been sanctioned by the West. So ये projection किया जाता है कि SEO it is a anti-Western grouping, क्योंकि इसमें China, Russia, they are also a member, Pakistan is also a member, but इसको मतलब universally बोलना would not be true. So with SU, it's a grouping that represents most of the world's population, GDP growth, and energy reserves. India has comfort in its common stand against the unilateral sanctions, such as those against Russia. So a lesson or two may also be learned from the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Council for Foreign Ministers, which was held in Goa earlier, जहाँ पे हमने देखा इंडिया के जो bilateral relations थे with mainly Pakistan, but China and even Russia, they were allowed to overshadow more substantive multilateral outcomes. So this is a particular annoyance to Central Asian countries also, that I have always insisted कि कोई bilateral issue नहीं लेके आना चाहिए in the SEO, lest it go the way of the other regional South Asian groups like SARC. So week after SEO summit, Prime Minister, he'll be now pivot back to the European Union, and he'll be like participating in the Bastille Day parade in France also. And there will be like in the August, there would be BRICS summit in South Africa, and he'll be engaging with the leaders of Russia, China, Brazil, and South Africa on an alternative BRICS payment mechanism to the dollar-dominated international system. So even this is on the agenda as far as BRICS is concerned, ki going ahead with a BRICS payment mechanism so that जो dollar-dominated international system है उस पे reliance कम हो जाए, and जो vulnerability है because of dependence on just one system, क्योंकि और कोई अभी best alternative भी नहीं है. So वो चीज को as a solution we'll be discussing on that also in BRICS. So striking a balance, जहाँ तक कि diplomatic relations की बात आती है, हमारे diplomatic skills की बात आती है. So timing of these engagements, it is no accident, nor is it explained by India's traditional adherence to the principle of non-alignment. So if anything, Prime Minister Modi has consistently refused to attend the non-aligned movement in person summits thus far, and has preferred his own version of multi-directional engagements. So this has been one thing that we have been observed. And 2017, the same year that India took part in reviving the Quad in the face of overt belligerence from Beijing, we also joined SU as a full member, agreeing to host the summit in 2023. So we also engaged places with both Italy and Indonesia in order to the G20 in 2023. So if it is hosting the two major summits in the same year, it is by choice and it is obviously it is no coincidence. So it is to India's credit that it continues to maintain this balance so far and is being courted by countries across the global divide, even as it seeks to hold out against two nuclear armed land neighbors at its frontiers. So definitely this is a very huge achievement for us. And जहां तक की बात आती है बैलेंसिंग एक्ट की, so they are playing out much more visibly now. It is also setting off a trend. So many countries in Southeast Asia and global South, may they not to mention countries like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Turkey, Israel, they're also managing their ties with the West without joining its stand on Ukraine or the sanctions. So basically, they are also learning from India's approach. This is being said, and this is also visible in countries which have been just mentioned and countries in South, global South as well. Apart from this, disturbing the balance की जब बात करते हैं, तो there are few unlikely black swan events that could jolt India off its careful tightrope walk and force a rethink of its policies one way or the other. So what can be those events? They are important. So sudden success for the Ukraine in its much delayed upcoming spring offensive, for example, it would require New Delhi to reconsider its unalloyed ties with Moscow. So this is one thing that needs reconsideration. Any major aggression by China across any part of the line of actual control will be another such event requiring a strategic overhaul. So if there is any aggressive event or aggressive action by China, even that, as far as our strategic thing is concerned, strategic overall would be required. And India may also be forced to rethink if Russia turns more belligerent over the payment problem or withholds the supplies of defense hardware to India under pressure from China. So these are some, we can say, impending things, and they are like the work still in progress. And definitely we need to focus upon them as well. So equally, any decision which is taken by US and Europe to force a choice on India to go forward with a unilateral sanctions for the increase in the Russian oil inflows processed at the Rosneft-owned refinery in Gujarat, or through the old threat of countering America's adversaries to Sanctions Act that is cuts the sanctions for India's acquisition of the Russian S-400 missile system, तो तब इंडिया क्या करेगा? So in absence of these at present unlikely scenarios, India is likely to continue to try to work its interest on both the sides of the geopolitical fence. So we are basically trying to maintain a balance between our Western partners and with Russia, China. Likewise, we are balancing with them, because specifically we talk about Russia also. So it's very important partner for India. So we are trying to maintain our balance between both of them. So India's task ahead, it will be made much more difficult if New Delhi fails to ensure कि SCO summit में or during the BRICS summit also, which is there in August, कि Moscow and Beijing accede to a consensus on a joint communique at the G20 summit in September. So even G20 summit may we are facing this problem because of Russia-Ukraine war. So US-led G7 bloc seems sanguine in allowing the differences in text to continue, suggesting the two outliers, they can be ignored or even omitted from the group. So for India, it is tasked with forging a consensus, which has accompanied every G20 summit in the past. So definitely this is a challenging task, but very important at the same time to accomplish this thing. And given the high stakes which are involved, so next 100 days, they will decide whether India, it can retain its reputation in forging a fair balance between its conflicting interests across the global divide, while remaining a gracious and successful host as the world comes home for the G20 summit. So next 100 days are very important for India. Talking about warning. So India must invest in infrastructure that boosts the defense against disasters. investing in infrastructure that boost our defense against disasters. So World Meteorological Organization has issued its annual update on its projections for the temperature trends in next decade. Yesterday we saw this article. So prognosis expectedly it is worrying, and actual mean jo global near surface temperature for each year between 2023 and 27, that is likely to be 1.1 degree or around 1.8 degrees Celsius higher than the average from 1850 to 900 period. So there is a 66% chance कि जो global near surface temperature है, it is going to exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels. So this was a target of the Paris Agreement, but it seems that we are failing at this. And apart from this, so at least one of the years WMO it adds from 2023 to 27 के बीच में एक साल ऐसा होगा that will be the hottest on record, exceeding 14.84 degrees Celsius reported in 2016. And जो आने वाले 5 साल हैं उसका जो mean temperature रहने वाला है, even that will be like very likely it is going to be higher than that in the last 5 years of 2018 to 22. And ENSO की बात करें, so oceans too, they are on fire. So El Nino Southern Oscillation that is likely to be positive in December to February 2023-24, meaning कि जो central equatorial Pacific Ocean है, it is likely to be at least half a degree more likely over a degree above what is the normal temperature. So India, it is bracing for this El Nino during the monsoon, with the Indian Meteorological Department already indicating that monsoon rainfall, it will be on lower side of the normal this time. So El Nino, it will combine with the human-induced climate change to push the global temperatures into uncharted territory. So it's very clear कि आने वाले time में, even at the climate front, the challenges, they are just going to increase. So we need to be ready. We need to be prepared with a plan. How are we going to deal with them? How are we going to ensure their mitigation? So definitely it's a very important area of concern. So again, it is about air elections and the airwaves. So basically talking about the radio system. Via political parties, they are provided free airtime on the public broadcasters during elections. How does the scheme work, and how does it benefit a political party, and how does the election commission, it distributes the time vouchers to parties without any bias? So definitely when it comes to campaigning, तो आपको रेडियो पे भी कुछ टाइम पीरियड फिक्स किया जाता है, which is fixed by Election Commission of India. So it is all being discussed here. So we'll just go by the gist. So in recently concluded Karnataka Assembly elections, political parties, they were provided free airtime on the public broadcasters, and obviously All India Radio is a part of that, Doordarshan during elections. So time vouchers that are distributed by a lottery system by Election Commission of India in a transparent process to obviate any preferential treatment in getting the prime time slot. So transcripts of these political parties, they are vetted to ensure that they adhere to the relevant codes, जो भी basically आप बोलोगे on the radio and जो भी broadcast किया जाएगा even on Doordarshan. So जो भी आप बोलोगे, जो script रहेगी, that needs to be in adherence to the relevant codes. So these codes, they prescribe कि any content any content which are inter alia critical of the other countries, attack religions or other communities, or incites violence and personal attacks. So these are basically not allowed. So RBI की क्या regulations हैं on green deposits? So it's a new kind of topic, so it's important for us to understand this. What are the RBI regulations on green deposits? So what does this framework say, and can green deposits help the environment in any way or not? So let's understand this. So last month, RBI came up with a regulatory framework for the banks to accept green deposits from customers. So under this new framework, banks, they can accept the green deposits. They will have to disclose more information on how they will invest these deposits. So banks को ये information तो disclose करनी पड़ेगी because they obviously they invest the deposits which are made by the customers. So किन areas में वो इनको invest करने वाले हैं, they need to be transparent about that. So होते क्या है green deposits, इसको समझते हैं. So they are not very different from जो regular deposits किए जाते हैं that banks accept from their customers. So only major difference जो है between green deposits and the normal deposits is that कि banks they promise to earmark the money that they receive as green deposit towards environment friendly projects. So जो green deposits रहेंगे obviously जो deposits किए जाते हैं बैंक उनको ही use करके आगे loan की form में देते हैं as their assets. तो ग्रीन डिपॉजिट्स के केस में क्या होगा, आप सिर्फ उन प्रोजेक्ट्स के लिए उनको इन द फॉर्म ऑफ लोन दोगे जो एनवायरमेंट फ्रेंडली प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, जो एनवायरमेंट सस्टेनेबिलिटी के ऊपर काम करने वाले हैं. सो दैट इज व्हाई दीज डिपॉजिट्स आर कॉल्ड ग्रीन डिपॉजिट्स. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल अ बैंक इट मे प्रॉमिस कि ग्रीन डिपॉजिट्स दे विल बी यूज्ड टुवर्ड्स फाइनेंसिंग renewable energy projects that fight the climate change. So this is one type of project for which these green deposits they can be lent by the bank. So a bank it may also avoid using these green deposits to invest in the fossil fuel projects. Obviously अगर green deposits है, the name is green, तो आप किसी ऐसे project के लिए नहीं दे सकते हो which involves fossil fuel usage or a project which is investing in fossil fuels. All right. So any project that is considered harmful to the climate, to the environment, will not be using the green deposits for that. So a green deposit is just one product in a wide array of other financial products like green bonds भी issue की जाती हैं. Again जो पैसा green bonds के through raise किया जाता है, that is again used for sustainable environmental projects. Then there are green shares also that help the investors put money into environmentally sustainable projects. So that is what do we mean by green deposits. So RBI की regulatory क्या बोलती है, regulatory framework जो है regarding green deposits, what is RBI saying on that? So RBI's framework for the acceptance of green deposits lays down certain conditions जो banks को fulfill करनी important हो जाएगी if they are accepting green deposits from the customers. So first is banks, they will have to pay up with a set of rules and policies approved by their respective boards that need to be followed while investing the green deposits from customers. So proper rules and policies जो अप्रूव की गई है बाय द बैंक का जो बोर्ड रहेगा, so obviously bank need to stick to that and follow it. So these rules they need to be made public also on the bank's website. So जो भी rules and policies रहेंगी they need to be made available even to the customers also so that they can read it and they are also aware कि कहाँ पे उनका पैसा use किया जा रहा है. So banks they will also have to disclose regular information about the amount of green deposits जो receive किए गए and how these deposits they were allocated towards various green projects and क्या impact होगा of such investments on the environment. So ये सारी information भी बैंक को disclose करनी important हो जाएगी. And a third party it will have to verify the claims made by the banks regarding the projects in which the banks invest their green deposits. So एक third party in a way it would be carrying out an audit also कि बैंक अगर बोल रहा है कि हमने इस project में इतना पैसा लगाया है that is the green deposits, तो third party would be verifying that कि क्या actually में बैंक ने really उस project में इतना पैसा invest किया है कि नहीं. So RBI it has come up with a list of sectors जो classify किए गए हैं as sustainable and they are eligible to receive the green deposits. So ये RBI ने पहले decide कर दिया है and definitely इसमें renewable energy, waste management, clean transportation, energy efficiency and afforestation are made a part of it. So banks, they will be barred from investing green deposits in business projects which involves fossil fuels, nuclear power, tobacco, gambling, palm oil, and hydropower generation. So इस type of projects में इन areas में banks green deposits को invest नहीं कर सकते हैं. So आपको ये भी पता होने चाहिए कौन से वो areas हैं. So new rules they are aimed at preventing greenwashing. So greenwashing it's an important term. ये पहले हम discuss कर चुके हैं कि अगर कोई बैंक या कोई company बोलती है कि हमने ये measures लिए हैं in order to ensure कि बेसिकली एनवायरनमेंट के ऊपर नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट ना हो या फिर ये हमने इतना पैसा इन्वेस्ट किया है इन एनी पर्टिकुलर एरिया व्हिच इज promoting or which is not damaging the environment and the climate, बट एक्चुअली में उस कंपनी ने वो पैसा इन्वेस्ट वहां नहीं किया होता है. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड ग्रीन वॉशिंग. So it refers to making misleading claims. The company, they make misleading claims about the positive environmental impact of any activity which has been undertaken by them. So for example, bank it may advertise कि उनके जो green deposits हैं, they will have a huge positive impact on the environment, while actual impact it may be minimal. So यहाँ पे इसलिए जो third party audits रहेंगे वो important रहेंगे. So will green deposits help the depositors or investors and the environment? क्या green deposits का जो ये idea है, क्या ये हमें really help करने वाला है या नहीं? So depositors who care about the environment, they may get some satisfaction from investing their money in environmentally sustainable investment products. However, at the same time, there are challenges also for the range of projects in which the green funds they can be invested by the bank in, that is limited by design. So ये बैंक्स की मर्जी पे नहीं है कि वो कौन से ग्रीन प्रोजेक्ट में इन्वेस्ट करेंगे, वो ऑलरेडी आरबीआई ने डिसाइड कर दिया है. तो ऑप्शंस जो हैं दे आर लिमिटेड. बट अगेन जो बैंक में पैसा डिपॉजिट करते हैं जो कस्टमर्स हैं, उनको एक कहीं ना कहीं ये सेटिस्फैक्शन रहेगा कि अगर दे आर डूइंग ग्रीन डिपॉजिट्स तो उनका पैसा वुड बी इन्वेस्टेड इन एनवायरमेंटली सस्टेनेबल प्रोजेक्ट्स जो वो पर्सनल लेवल पे नहीं कर सकते. तो थ्रू ग्रीन डिपॉजिट्स दे वुड एबल टू मीट दिस थिंग. And when it comes to protecting the environment, so green investing enthusiasts, they believe that putting money into the green projects may be one of the best ways to help the environment. So critics, however, they argue that green investment products, jo hain, they are often just a way to make investors feel good about themselves, and that these investments, they don't really do much good to the environment. So this is also one of the views of the critics ki फील गुड फैक्टर तो बहुत ज्यादा हाई है व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट सच टाइप्स ऑफ इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स. बट जब हम एक्चुअल ग्राउंड लेवल पे उनका इम्पैक्ट देखते हैं तो इट इज फाउंड आउट कि वो इतना ज्यादा हेल्पफुल नहीं या इतना मेजर इम्पैक्ट नहीं है. So noted finance expert Aswath Damodaran, for instance, he calls green investing a feel-good scam that enriches only consultants. Secondly, in a complex world, jahan pe action involves second-order effects that are difficult to see, so it can be extremely hard to know कि क्या project ने really environmentally sustainability में कोई help की है कि नहीं. So Supreme Court sets aside West Bengal's ban on the Kerala story. So producer to add disclaimer that the film it is fictionalized account of events and that there is no authentic data on conversions. Court says कि statewide ban जो है on the film it suffered from overspread. So you are saying कि ban on the film it is on the basis of 13 people and you get any 13 people they will say कि ban any movie unless you are showing them the cartoons. So this was what the Supreme Court said on the ban of the Kerala story in West Bengal. So Supreme Court ने at the same time refused किया है to lift the High Court stay order on Bihar caste based survey. So Bihar High Court ने ban लगा दिया था या फिर completely बोल दिया था कि इस exercise को आपको immediately stop करना पड़ेगा regarding caste based survey जो बिहार में carry out किया जा रहा था. And even Supreme Court ने जो ban लगाया गया है जो stay order दिया था High Court of बिहार ने उसको भी lift करने से मना कर दिया है. So this stay order continues. So court says that since High Court it has scheduled the case for 3rd July, so it should not intervene at this point of time. So that's there. So India is planning to hold Quad meet in Japan, says the Foreign Secretary. So that's one update. Japan seeks to send out strong message against Russia. So upholding the rule of law and ensuring that Russia pays a price for its continuing invasion of Ukraine will be among the highest priorities for Japan as it hosts the G7 summit for the world's most developed countries this weekend. So the Prime Minister of Japan wants to send a strong message from Hiroshima that unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force must not be allowed anywhere in the world. That is to say, if Russia is allowed to go ahead without paying any price, then other countries may be tempted to do the same thing. So that's a very strong message that he wants to send out using a G7 through the G7 summit. So the new parliament building would be inaugurated on 28th of May by the Prime Minister. So it's a 4-story building. It has been built at an estimated cost of around rupees 970 crores by Tata Projects Limited. So it would be inaugurated on 28th of May. And new building, it can seat around 888 members in the Lok Sabha chambers against 543 seats in the old building, and it can accommodate 300 members in Rajya Sabha compared to the 250 earlier. So जो architectural features हैं of the new parliamentary building, that is very important for us from the examination perspective, and this was even covered before as well. So Arab League summer is going to be there in Saudi Arabia, and Syria's Assad arrives in Saudi Arabia. So recently we saw that Syria has again been included and made a member of the Arab League. So there's going to be a Arab League summit in Saudi Arabia. So Israel deploys heavy police force ahead of the testy Jerusalem march. So the basically violence continues. And former UK Prime Minister Johnson abused France's Macron, claims the AD. So that's the Pakistan police besiege Imran's home as deadline expires. So ultimatum for the Imran Khan to hand over 40 suspects ended on 2 p.m. local time. Later, the former prime minister told his supporters that the police can only search his house with a search warrant. So things are going on. 2 dead in the sunken Chinese vessel. Indian Navy deploys P-8I for the search. So the approximate location of the Chinese fishing vessel, it was in the Indian Ocean. So as we go by this, so it's like the picture is not so clear. So the location of the Chinese vessel was here. So it was like at this much distance. So even distance mentioned, but again, it's not clearly visible. On the business page, here we see so the credit cards, they've been put under the LRS to check excess forex spends. So कल हमने ये topic देखा था कि credit cards के through अगर आप foreign visit पे जा रहे हो and you are doing some transactions using your credit card, so they would be now under the LRS scheme and उनके ऊपर tax भी impose किया जाएगा. So government sought to clarify its decision to bring the overseas credit card spends under the liberalized remittance scheme for the foreign exchange outgo, stating that some individuals, they were exceeding the $2.5 lakh annual limit that has been fixed under this liberalized remittance scheme. So limit is $2.5 lakh in 1 year. So to check key people, they do not overspend beyond this limit. So for that, this step has been taken. Going with the main newspapers again, यहाँ पे भी credit card वाली news ही है. What just changed about using your credit card abroad? So taxation on foreign spending is one of the new introductions. So TCS, it can be adjusted against the advance tax or claimed as refund in your returns. So how TCS it's going to work, like you go on a Europe trip in September and you spend rupees 2 lakh. So bank is going to deduct rupees 40,000 as TCS, that's the tax amount. And suppose your income is 20 lakhs, so rupees 3 lakh tax is due under the new regime, and you only have to pay now rupees 2.6 lakh because already 40,000 has been deducted as TCS. All right, so that's how it is going to be under the new system after this step. So government, it has brought credit cards under the liberalized remittances scheme, and even a dollar of foreign spending, it will attract 20% tax. अगर आप $1 भी spend कर रहे हो using your credit card, तो उस पे भी 20% tax लगाया जाएगा. So this is basically departure from the current 5% tax on spending of over rupees 7 लाख। सो अभी तक ये सिस्टम चला रहा था कि अगर आप 7 लाख से ज्यादा स्पेंड कर रहे हो तो उस पर 5% टैक्स लगेगा। बट नाउ अगर आप $1 भी स्पेंड कर रहे हो यूजिंग योर क्रेडिट कार्ड इन अ फॉरेन कंट्री, सो उस पर 20% टैक्स लगाया जाएगा। सो एक्सपोर्ट्स के बारे में हम बात कर चुके हैं ऑलरेडी, दिस इज लाइक कमिंग एवरी डे ऑलमोस्ट। देन लेट्स सी अगर कोई और इम्पोर्टेंट न्यूज है यहाँ पे रिगार्डिंग इकोनॉमी। सो स्ट्रैटेजिक ऑयल रिजर्व्स के बारे में आपको पता होना चाहिए इंडिया में कहाँ लोकेशन है उनकी। सो वी हैव इम्पोर्टेड अराउंड 9 million barrel of oil for the strategic reserves. So we are considering refilling the strategic hoard of crude oil, joining US as the world's top guzzler begins to rebuild its depleted stockpiles after a period of drawdown. So India plans to import around 1.25 million tons of oil to fill the empty reserves, and the grades and timing, they are still under discussion. So it's unclear if India, which has emerged as a major buyer of the Russian crude since Ukraine invasion, will choose to buy cargoes from OPEC plus producer or the traditional suppliers like West Asia. So that's still like it has not been decided. And strategic reserves की location कहाँ है ये आपको पता होना important है. Again, I am saying this thing. Moving to Financial Express. So here, SEBI to amend the price sensitive information norms. So in a way, insider trading के बारे में एक आपको बताना चाहिए, यहाँ पे mention भी है, move to rein in insider trading. So insider trading basically एक ऐसा act है कि suppose you have such a type of information या you are aware of such a thing जिसकी वजह से अगर वो information public हो जाती है, अभी that is not public, that's kind of, you can say, कुछ ही लोगों को पता है या सीक्रेट इंफॉर्मेशन है या प्राइवेट इंफॉर्मेशन है, एंड इफ इट गोज पब्लिक तो किसी पर्टिकुलर कंपनी के शेयर प्राइसेस पे उसका इम्पैक्ट होगा। तो आपको वो इंफॉर्मेशन पहले से पता है एंड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट इंफॉर्मेशन यू आर मेकिंग इन्वेस्टमेंट्स और यू आर डूइंग ट्रेडिंग। So that is known as insider trading and this is completely illegal. So जो rules है regarding the price sensitive information, SEBI उनको amend करने वाला है. So it proposes widening the ambit of UPSI definition. So Securities and Exchange Board of India on Thursday proposed to amend the insider trading regulations after observing कि material events that have an impact on the stock prices, they are not being reported effectively by the listed companies. So the listed companies hai, they are not, sticking to effectively reporting all that information and the events regarding price sensitive information. So it is proposed that it would be widening the ambit of the current definition of the unpublished price sensitive information under the SEBI regulations of 2015 by linking it to disclosures required under the regulation 30 of the SEBI rules जो हैं. So unpublished price sensitive information को link कर देंगे कि आपको जो मतलब periodically आपको जो रिपोर्ट करना होता है या डिस्क्लोजर्स करने होते हैं, सो इट वुड बी लिंक्ड विद दैट. So we try to understand the data. So listed entities categorized it correctly only 8% of the time, and of the 227 only 18 instances was the information categorized as UPSI and in 209 it wasn't. So 227 out of 1100 press releases, information given out caused a price movement of 2% after adjusting for the index. So that's the update from here. So China's Shein is going to re-enter India. So basically, जो ये app थी, it was banned. So ties there are with the Reliance Retail. And this is one of the world's top fashion brand. Shein with shut stop in 2020 in India after the government banned some Chinese apps. So even this app was one of the apps after this Galwan standoff in Ladakh. तो उसके बाद से इंडिया ने कुछ एप्स बैन कर दी थी, so it was a part of it. So rising vegetable prices, it may counteract the fall in food inflation. So फूड इन्फ्लेशन हमें दिख रही है थोड़ी कूल डाउन होती हुई लास्ट 2 मंथ से, बट नाउ वी आर सीइंग कि वेजिटेबल प्राइसेस इंक्रीज हो रहे हैं। तो जो फूड इन्फ्लेशन में हम थोड़ा रिलीफ फील कर रहे थे, अगेन वील बी सीइंग कि inflation would be going up. So concerns are about, there are about even milk prices, they refuse to go away. So milk prices, vegetable prices are going to be another stress for the common man. So onset of the summer, it could raise the prices of fruits and vegetables. So there is again uptick in the price pressures. And कल हमने बात करी थी गीता गोपीनाथ के बारे में, शी सेड कि डेफिनेटली आने वाले टाइम में इन्फ्लेशन से रिगार्डिंग जो कंसर्न्स हैं, दे आर गोइंग टू इंक्रीज. सो वी स्टिल नीड टू बी विजिलेंट अबाउट व्हाट आर द डेवलपमेंट्स गोइंग ऑन एट द इन्फ्लेशन फ्रंट. So this green graph, it is for the CPI vegetables, and you can see ki it is on the upward trend. So that's going to be another challenge for the inflation. In the Indian Express newspaper, so let's find out what are the important articles today. So with approaching Ganesh Chaturthi festival, so the BMC, it mandates use of eco-friendly Ganesh idols ahead of the festival. So Ganesh Utsav is slated to commence on September 19. So given the environmental sustainability, this has been issued by BMC. So we have seen Supreme Court judgment regarding upholding the Jallikattu Amendment law in Tamil Nadu. So coming on the explained page, so this is regarding Tavur Rana is going to be extradited, and he had some role in the 26/11 attacks. So he was a school friend of the convicted 26/11 accused David Coleman Headley, and he's accused by India of aiding and abetting the reconnaissance carried out by Headley for the November 26, 2008 Mumbai terror attacks and participating in the conspiracy for the attack. So on this basis, he'll be extradited. So again, आज बहुत सारे article है regarding this change on the credit card spends abroad. So 20% tax collected at source would be imposed, and why the government has changed हम देख चुके हैं, and how you will be impacted. So सारा देख चुके हैं हम. So dotted lands की बात करें तो आंध्र प्रदेश government is freeing 2 lakh acres of dotted lands in a step that will help the farmers. So dotted lands क्या होते हैं? These are disputed lands for which there are no clear ownership documents. So these are called dotted lands, जिसमें basically these are disputed lands and we don't know कि exactly कौन like real owner hai of that particular land. So there are no even clear documents regarding the ownership. So typically one or more individuals as well as the government's revenue department, they lay claim over this land. So these lands, they came to be known as dotted lands because when during the British era land ownership surveys kiye jate the, resettlement of land records were taken up, local revenue officials, they put dots in the ownership column if more than one person claimed the ownership or if the ownership could not be clearly established. तो इसलिए नाम आता है dotted land. So बस इतना ही पता होना हमारे लिए काफी है. So this is again regarding the Jallikattu law. Supreme Court upholds the Tamil Nadu Jallikattu law. What is this decade-old case? So यहाँ पे basically पूरी chronology and evolution दिया गया है. So how did the case reach Supreme Court? So in this case, Supreme Court it overruled its 2014 ruling. हमने देखा कि 2014 में जो ruling थी उसमें जलीकट्टू was banned. Then उसके बाद तमिलनाडु came up with a law जिसमें amendments किए गए so that जो pain है to the animal वो बहुत minimum level पे हो सके. एंड अभी की जो जजमेंट है इसमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जो पहले वाली जजमेंट थी इट हैज ओवरटर्न्ड दैट एंड अपहेल्ड द amended law of Tamil Nadu. So Jallikattu hai kya? It is like also known as by this name. You can just go through it. And it's a like bull taming sport which is traditionally played in Tamil Nadu as part of the Pongal Harvest Festival. So this festival, it's a celebration of nature and thanksgiving for a bountiful of harvest of which cattle worship. It is a part of it also. So, however, this practice of Jallikattu, it has long been contested with animal rights groups and the courts expressing concern of the cruelty to animals and the bloody and the dangerous nature of the sport also. So it is not just, risky for the animal, but even for the human life also. This is a very risky sport. So on this basis, there are few animal rights groups, जिन्होंने basically they oppose this and they were standing up for कि it is an act which leads to cruelty to animals. It causes them a lot of pain, and then it's huge risky. It's very risky for even the human life. So that is the opposition stand. And the present case petitioner they challenged Tamil Nadu amendment, which allowed Jallikattu, contending that since the century law it prohibits the cruelty to animal, there could not be an amending act that perpetuates cruelty. So plea also named states like Karnataka, Maharashtra as parties to the case since they too have some similar sports. So even in that case, the sports they have been upheld by the Supreme Court and they are valid. So 2014 की क्या ruling थी हम देख चुके हैं. It was banned by the Supreme Court. And what was the Tamil Nadu law? So 2017 में Tamil Nadu ने amend किया Prevention of Cruelty to Animal Act to allow Jallikattu in the state. So amending this act sought to preserve the cultural heritage of Tamil Nadu and to ensure that the survival and well-being of the native breeds of bulls that is carried forward. So obviously Tamil Nadu बोलता था कि ये इनका cultural heritage है and it shouldn't be banned. So accordingly amendments किए गए in this act so that this practice continues. So while the initial petitions on Supreme Court, they had sought a direction to the states to comply with 2014 Supreme Court ruling. जो passage था the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act in 2017, it led to a scenario जहाँ पे petitions they had to be modified to include the quashing of 2017 Act among its prayers. So following this, Supreme Court bench opined कि जो Jallikattu issue here involved substantial questions of interpretation of the Constitution and referred the matter to the Constitution bench. So आपको ये भी पता होना चाहिए कि कौन से ऐसे scenarios हैं जब किसी matter को Constitution bench को refer किया जाता है. So अभी की judgment हम देख चुके हैं. Again, we'll just go through क्योंकि यहाँ पे थोड़ा detail में mentioned है. So in the current judgment, top court held that जो Tamil Nadu का जो amendment act है, it is not a piece of colorable legislation, that it relates to entry 17 of the list, 3 of the 7 schedule of the constitution, which is about the prevention of cruelty to animals. So it is part of list 3, which is the concurrent list. So adding कि जो 2017 की amendments थे, they minimize cruelty to animals and concerned sports. So court it held कि once it's implemented and it is read with the rules, so sports will not come under the definition of cruelty, which is defined in the 1960 Act. So कोर्ट ने बोला जो 2017 की amendment थी, it is not violating Article 51A and 51 basically subclauses G and H, which imposes duties on the Indian citizens to protect the environment and develop a scientific temper, humanism, spirit of inquiry and reform. So this is one of the fundamental duties. So further, it also held कि जो amendment थी, it is not violating Article 14 and 21 of the Constitution either. So this was the Supreme Court judgment in this case. So National Quantum Mission offers opportunities to create innovation hubs and build a skilled workforce. It will require big investment in human resource and infrastructure. So पहले भी हम इस मिशन के बारे में बात कर चुके हैं। इसके अलावा इंडिया में कितने सुपर कंप्यूटर्स हैं, इंडिया की क्या रैंक है, आपको क्यूबिट्स के बारे में पता होना चाहिए। दीज आर सम टर्म्स रिलेटेड टू क्वांटम कंप्यूटर्स एंड क्वांटम कंप्यूटर्स कन्वेंशनल कंप्यूटर से कैसे डिफरेंट हैं। सुपर कंप्यूटर्स और क्वांटम कंप्यूटर, क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स इसमें क्या डिफरेंस है, सो दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट। So that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And there's also a PDF link in the description box, so you can go through the PDF as well. And do like this video and subscribe to the channel.